We're gonna go take what's ours.
We're doing it the Gallagher way.
Things are better now. I got a second chance.
Please don't use a bad word when you can use a good word.
You focus on something in your mind, it will come true.
Don't worry, I got your back.
Let's do this thing.
Bite my tongue, bite my time. Wait till the world is mine. You should see me in the crowd. I'm gonna win, there's nothing to out. Watch me make them bow one by one by one, one by one by. You should see me in the crowd. Your silence is my favorite sound.
Wilder vs. Fury, Saturday, December 1st, live on pay-per-view.
Come out with it right. Whoa.
My past 3 fights, I was to kind of walk him down. Frankenstein's type Terminator guy. And he's working on more stamina. It's basically volume punching.
Good. Bring under.
We wasn't really focusing too much on defense.
Boy, get your stuff on. Today we're gonna be working on some defense drills with Jaleel Hackett. He's a young amateur fighter, one of our outstanding fighters from the DMV area. He came in today to give us some volume punching. He's one of the best at doing it, and that's why he's here today.
Guy Jason Wellborn that I'm facing, he's a kind of come forward guy. So in this fight, I want to show a lot more of my defense, and it starts in the gym.
How you feel? Pull up and bite with him. How you feel good? Listen, when he get in the inside, wrap one arm up. Wrap one arm. Touch it. Let it up, wrap the other arm. See what he gonna do with it. Okay. Push him back. You can turn him around, push him back. Pop down to the body and touch him a little bit, all right? Let's go.
Sparring was a little different for me. We was working on defensive drills. We're not trying to get in there with guys that's trying to take my head off. It's a drill. It's sparring.
Right there. There you go, like that, just like that.
The guy Jaleel who came, man, and helped me out, he's a great fighter, man, as you can see. And it's best to use guys like amateur because those are the guys that throw punches and bunches.
Put the blue on. Good. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
30 seconds drill. 30 second drill. 30 second drill.
There you go. Good. Ah, go away.
Welcome in to as we get set for a big night of action this upcoming Saturday on Showtime pay-per-view. Deontay Wilder putting his WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World on the line against the lineal champion and Tyson Fury. I'm Ray Flores alongside Brian Campbell. It is the Undercard press conference today, a star-studded Undercard. But before we get to that, Brian, yesterday, talk about an atmosphere between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. It was electric in here, and the tempers boiled over.
Hashtag fired the heck up right now, Ray. I think promoter Lou DiBella said it best yesterday when he said there's nothing quite like a heavyweight championship fight. I don't know about you, Ray, but I come from a time where it's still real to me to get two giants like that with this much emotion, this much uncertainty in a 50-50 fight on paper. You never know what's going to happen next inside the ring, and I think yesterday when those two went nose to nose, we never knew what was going to happen over there on the stage. I don't know how it's going to play into Saturday's fight. That's up to the eye of the beholder. But one thing I took from yesterday was that Fury, for the first time, got in Deontay Wilder's head.
Well, let's go back and revisit some of the fireworks that happened during yesterday's press conference. It is fight week here in the City of Angels as Deontay Wilder puts his WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World on the line against Tyson Fury.
Two undefeated giants of the sport risking their undefeated record for the WBC and lineal Heavyweight Championship of the World.
You know Tyson's story, beating the odds. Shouldn't be back here on this stage looking as good as he does, fighting as well as he will. Deontay Wilder, who would have thought when he picked up a pair of gloves at age 18 that a short time later he would be the reigning WBC heavyweight champion of the world? Not bad for a kid from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
America got a mighty man in me. America got the baddest man on the planet. And I'll be damned I let a man from another country come and upset what I've been building for this time. When I put my life on the line, it's serious for me. On the night of that fight, I can do whatever I want to. I promise you this, he will go down.
Styles are going to make this fight a great fight. We're going to see something special on Saturday.
I've been looking forward to this fight since 2011. And on Saturday night, I'm going to punch his face right in for him.
I've been ready 2 weeks ago. I come in camp in this shape day one because I'm a different breed, I'm a different caliber. The two best heavyweights in the world. This is the time. It's my time. When he beat Klitschko, that was his window.
I sit here today as a lineal heavyweight champion. That already means I'm the best heavyweight on the planet. I don't need to beat Wilder to be considered the best. Many men have tried to take things from me in the past, but I ain't never come across anybody, amateur, professional, sparring, anything. There ain't never been a man that could better me.
You guys are gonna be able to determine who is really the best in the heavyweight division. One champion, one face, one name. And that's what I'm seeking. I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. I promise you. I promise you.
We are just 2 days away from Deontay Wilder putting his title on the line against Tyson Fury. 48 hours, Brian. I'm pumped. It is going to be an electric night of action. My goodness, talk about the emotion coming out of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury loving playing the antagonist role.
Playing the spoiler. Look, there's so many competing storylines for this fight. So many good stories from Tyson Fury's transformation from 2 years and going dark, if you will, the depression, the substance abuse, and working his way back. But Deontay Wilder's got his own great story, fighting for respect. 40 fights into his career, 7 title defenses, still trying to gain that critical respect. I think that's fueling the anger, the aggression out there. And you know, Fury, he likes to stir that pot, whether that's a smart move or not. I think that's going to equal electricity on Saturday night because you have two guys in their physical primes here who are ready to go all in and do what it takes to win a fight. Magic happens when you have those elements.
Well, and here's another item to keep note of. Anytime Deontay Wilder fights, you don't know when the fight's going to end because he has that concussive of knockout power, a 98% knockout percentage. Those are startling numbers. And with Tyson Fury, can he go ahead and connect and land that one big shot? Freddie Roach proclaimed, who is in the camp of Tyson Fury, that he believes Fury will be able to knock out Deontay Wilder within a round.
Well, let's take that with a grain of salt. The great Freddie Roach has predicted a Manny Pacquiao knockout for what, the last 15 fights going back a decade. We finally saw it recently when Roach wasn't in the corner. But look, I think they're predicting an aggressive, ready Fury who's back. But you laid out something interesting here. Fury could essentially come out here on Saturday night and pitch a perfect game, walk that tightrope, tiptoe near the fire, almost reach perfection, and still fall with one shot. That'll add so much element of drama to this fight because I've never seen a fighter, a champion on the level of Deontay Wilder, so comfortable with giving away rounds, with saying, look, I'm going to take a snapshot, I'm going to see what my opponent's doing, and when he tires late, when that moment is right, I'm going to bring the boom. Because I'm not in here to go the distance. I'm not in here to give those 3 judges at ringside something to do tonight. I'm going in there to knock you out. That adds a lot of drama.
Well, also, here's another thing to take note of, and it's been a wonderful journey for Tyson Fury to have to deal with. You know, he's come back from a lot of demons, the mental issues when it comes to having to deal with substance abuse. But, Brian, when you have those issues with substance abuse, and then you come into a fight, a meaningful fight, that he hasn't been in a meaningful fight in 3 years since he beat Klitschko, had the anniversary yesterday. Can he go ahead and have the legs and the stamina for 36 minutes to fight, as you pointed out, that perfect fight?
This is a question that can only be answered in the ring, but This is a lot for any man to do. Tyson Fury getting back to this point, even in his personal life, his physical body, the transformation, incredible story. But in terms of boxing, in terms of inside the ring, mental advocacy aside, for this to really matter on this level, this comeback story, he's got to get the victory. And this is an uphill battle, but I do want to say one thing. If anyone can do it, if there's one heavyweight boxer who can disarm somebody as dangerous as Deontay Wilder and play with fire for 12 rounds and be that last man standing, it's that 6'9", self-proclaimed Gypsy King with the speed of a middleweight and the mindset of a burglar who's not afraid to go in there and play spoiler. Very interesting style matchup.
It is absolutely very compelling. Don't forget Fury and Wilder this Saturday on Showtime pay-per-view. Also, make sure to follow us here on our social media pages. All Access Daily, every single day, we look at both Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury as they get set to step inside the ropes on Saturday night here at Staples Center in Los Angeles. A loaded undercard. The press conference is getting ready to start in only moments. Also, we have Adonis Stevenson, Alexander Wojcik. That is on our social media pages, 7:45 Eastern, 4:45 Pacific time. Let's dive into the undercard a little bit with Jarrett Hurd on the undercard. Coming back after an injury, had a wonderful performance against Erislandy Lara to claim the WBA Super Welterweight Championship. He was already the IBF champion. But for Jarrett Hurd, this is a comeback fight for him, putting his title on the line. But it's always nice to see the man named Swift inside the ring.
We're watching a breakout star just explode in front of us. And that April victory over Lara, for all intents and purposes, shouldn't have happened. He shouldn't have been that good. We know what Swift can do. He can walk you down second by second, minute by minute. But against a guy as crafty as Erislandy Lara, what it turned into was a strong fight of the year contender, a breakout performance for one of the top junior middleweights in the world. The sky's the limit, but he's got to prove he can come back from shoulder surgery and look great.
Well, Jarrett Hurd has always mentioned that this has been an unorthodox journey for him, to going from working in a deli to then, fighting on club shows in the Washington, D.C. area, to going ahead and fighting Frank Galarza, which you saw here on Showtime at the Hard Rock back in November of 2015. To watch the journey for Jarrett Hurd, and now to be on the co-main event in Los Angeles. Talk about a moment for him on Saturday.
It's been the perfect underdog story in a lot of ways. He wasn't that hand-picked top prospect. He doesn't necessarily have the crafty or flashy style. He's a big puncher, but not necessarily a one-punch knockout guy. He's a lunch pail, blue-collar, hard worker, a very big junior middleweight. And as we're seeing, each time he steps up in class, Ray, not supposed to beat this guy, but he walks through him over time. Not supposed to beat this guy, but he never stops coming forward. Fights with a lot of heart. I think fans can really relate to that type of personality.
Well, anytime, as you go ahead and take a look at Jarrett Hurd, that he's in a fight, it's always exciting, entertaining. Jarrett Hurd continues to go ahead and come after you. He did it against Austin Trout. He did it against Tony Harrison. He did it against Erislandy Lara. He made Lara fight a dogfight of a matchup, and he brought the fight to him, which he was able to eke out the victory in April. And that victory against Lara really spoke volumes.
And I mentioned, sleeper fight of the year contender. You're looking at maybe a sleeper fighter of the year contender in Jarrett Hurd with how big that leap has been. This is a comeback fight. This is to see where his shoulder is at against Jason Wellborn on Saturday. But you know what we all want? We all want to angle toward that potential showdown with another 154 titleist in Jermell Charlo. Gives me goosebumps just thinking about a fight like that.
Well, Jarrett Hurd has stated that he wants that matchup against Jermell Charlo. He said he's going to go ahead and continue to talk about it, because he goes ahead and he believes that he's the #1 super welterweight in the world. Now, let's also take a look at what's on the undercard as well. You will hear from Luis Ortiz as he has a matchup against Travis Coffin. We saw Luis Ortiz back here in July on Showtime Championship Boxing when he was able to eradicate Razvan Kajanu. And, Brian, if there were any questions about the aftermath for Ortiz getting knocked out by Deontay Wilder earlier in the year, at least in July, he showed no ill effects.
Let's not forget about him. He's still a major player in this division. We got a lot of fun, big names here. Luis Ortiz should still be in there despite that loss to Deontay Wilder in a fight in March that he fought really well in, despite the 3 judges favoring Wilder on the scorecards at the time of the stoppage. I think you can make a great case that Ortiz was not only in that fight, but winning it. He may still have the best balance of speed, power, and craft in this entire division. I can see another title shot in his future if he keeps winning, keeps aligning himself to be ready for when fights like Wilder, Fury in the aftermath, we'll see who they're going to be facing next. Ortiz still a big name.
Well, that's the thing is Luis Ortiz puts himself, if he's able to get past Travis Coffin, that's winning 2 in a row. He's still a very high-profile name. He has stated that Anthony Joshua has avoided him. Deontay Wilder did not, and he gives all the credit in the world for Deontay Wilder for fighting him. But you know that in the mind of Luis Ortiz, he wants a rematch against Deontay Wilder, or if Fury's able to upset Deontay Wilder, that's what they want. So Luis Ortiz with the victory puts himself in line for a potential title shot once again.
I think the overall thing you're saying here is this division is really fun. We're going through a renaissance today. I think we have to, again, give credit to Tyson Fury 3 years ago this week, upsetting Vladimir Klitschko. It ended a long era that maybe wasn't the best for financials in American boxing, bringing excitement, bringing the casuals back to the heavyweight division. Now we've got players. Luis Ortiz still one of them. Man, I can't wait to see how this whole thing plays out.
We certainly have players, and we want you to join us this Saturday, Showtime pay-per-view, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time. Do not miss Deontay Wilder putting his championship of the world on the line against Tyson Fury. Plus, you have Jarrett Hurd in the undercard along with Luis Ortiz and Travis Coffin. Also, Joe Joyce, who is an Olympic silver medalist. He is in action taking on Joe Hanks. So a compelling night of action overall from Staples Center here in Los Angeles. And Brian, when I'm thinking about destinations for the heavyweight championship of the world, I know it's raining here in Los Angeles today, but to me, you can't get much better than Hollywood, an area that has high drama, and we're going to have that with Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury.
This is a perfect spot for two giants, the Godzillas of the division, to do battle across from each other. I'm fired up. I can't wait to see what happens.
Let's meet some of the guys from the undercard. We'll send it to our very own Brian Custer.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Want to welcome you to the final undercard press conference for Wilder versus Fury. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Custer from Showtime Championship Boxing, and we are now just 2 days away from one of the most significant heavyweight title fights that's been fought here in the States in about 16 years. You can go back to when Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis fought at the Pyramid in Memphis. In fact, the most significant heavyweight title fight to be fought here in Los Angeles in 15 years. Back then, Lennox Lewis and Vitaly Klitschko, 2003, fought right here at the Staples Center. And on Saturday, you've got the WBC unbeaten heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay Wilder, taking on the Gypsy King, the unbeaten lineal champion. And you can see it all on Showtime pay-per-view. And the undercard will be just as exciting, just as competitive. And in fact, this undercard, the co-main, will feature the unified 154-pound champion of the world. You will also see a former British middleweight champion making his U.S. debut. You're going to see one of the top 5 heavyweights in the world and a former Olympic silver medalist as well, who will start to show off. It's Saturday, December 1st, Staples Center. It's promoted by Bomb Squad Promotions, Queensberry Promotions in association with TGB Promotions, and DeBella Entertainment. Tickets are already on sale, obviously. They're available at Axis.com. Wilder versus Fury, 4 fights that are coming your way. Pay-per-view event, produced, distributed by Showtime Pay-Per-View, and the evening kicks off at 9 p.m. Eastern. That is 6 p.m. Pacific time. Now, for the first time, Showtime is also offering Saturday's pay-per-view event. You can purchase it directly through the network's OTT streaming service, which means subscribers, non-subscribers alike can stream the 4-fight event via the Showtime app, on major streaming platforms, including Apple TV devices, Amazon Fire TV, Android, and directly on Showtime.com. Here's what separates Showtime Championship Boxing from the rest. This network puts a premium on big fights, puts a premium on pay-per-view fights, and makes sure that the undercard is just as exciting, is just as competitive as the main event. And the man who's in charge of all of that is the president of sports and event programming. By the way, celebrating his 7th year anniversary today. Back on this day in 2011, this man walked into the doors of Showtime, and in those 7 years has quickly elevated the brand of Showtime Championship Boxing to be the leader right now in the sport. He's the president of sports and event programming of Showtime Networks. He is Steven Espinoza.
Thank you, Brian. 7 years really does fly by. Before we get to the pay-per-view undercard, just one quick reminder of a special attraction before the pay-per-view. Boxing's longest-running champion, Adonis Stevenson, is taking on undefeated challenger Alex Vodzik. That'll be live from Quebec City, 4:45 p.m. Pacific, that's 7:45 Eastern, on Showtime, and available for free on the Showtime Facebook page and the Showtime YouTube channel. A bonus fight before the pay-per-view for all of our fans, trying to make this a big day of boxing, and a big day of boxing it will be. And that's one of the sort of dangers of pay-per-view. When we've got such a massive main event, sometimes it gets easy to overlook some really quality fighters and quality fights on the undercard, and certainly Stevenson versus Vodzik, which will be available again to everyone. It certainly fits that bill. Then we're moving into the pay-per-view card, the co-feature, IBF and WBA champion Jarrett Hurd, his first fight since unifying, taking on British Commonwealth champion Jason Wellborn. When we talk about Jarrett Hurd, he's a fighter who has seemingly come out of nowhere, and with an incredibly rapid rise to the top. He was not a decorated amateur. He has learned on the job. He burst on the scene with a signature win against Oscar Molina on CBS network. That was on the undercard of Thurman Porter. And all he has done since then is impress and impress and impress. And he is recognized as one of the bright young stars in boxing. He has been off due to injury. We'll hear more about that. Certainly could have taken an easier fight than Jason Wellborn, who is a British Commonwealth champion, also has campaigned at middleweight as well. So we're expecting an action fight there. Then, going in reverse order, Luis Ortiz, one of the top heavyweights in the world, one small blemish on his otherwise perfect record, 29-1, 25 KOs, and that one blemish was a loss this past March to Deontay Wilder. And perhaps Ortiz was just seconds away from victory. We talk about a slim margin in some fights. That was the slimmest of margins. And I think he is going to be trying to make a statement on the undercard that he deserves a rematch against Deontay Wilder. Standing his way will be Travis Kottman, a veteran, 32-2, 23 KOs. So again, another all-action fight filled with KO punchers. In our opening fight, special treat, one of the most talked about rising young heavyweights in the sport, 2016 Olympic silver medalist Joe Joyce, taking on a tough veteran, Joe Hanks. Joe Joyce made his U.S. debut earlier this year. He's 6-0 with 6 KOs. And as we know, the heavyweight division has become the focus, much more so in the last 6 to 9 months than we've seen in the last couple of decades. And certainly Joe Joyce is top of the list on the potential next wave of future stars. He is certainly not wasting any time. In his 7th fight, taking off a veteran, Joe Hanks, you know, there's a lot of talk about how quickly fighters like Anthony Joshua have moved and others. Well, Joe Joyce is right there with him. To be taking on a fighter of Joe Hanks' caliber and experience in just his 7th pro fight is very impressive, and that speaks volumes for what his promoter, Ringstar Promotions, thinks of his talent. So if we look at this card overall, you've got some of the biggest punchers in boxing, the most exciting fighters. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw several knockouts on that card. We'll hear more from the fighters in just a moment. But again, don't miss the action starting on Showtime and on our social media pages, 4:45 Pacific, and then the pay-per-view, of course, 6 p.m. We'll see you there.
Well, let's hear from the fighters. Gentlemen, I'm going to introduce you. And when I introduce you, I'd like for you to come on up, give a few statements. Let's start here to my left. You heard Stephen talk about him. Joe Hanks started his career with 21 straight wins. Fights out of Newark, New Jersey. Goes by the name Jersey Joe Hanks.
How you doing, everybody? First, I want to start off with saying thank my team, thank my family, thank everybody that's coming out showing some support. It's a long time coming. You know, thanks to all my fans back in Jersey, back in Newark and Irvington, all my people back in Brick City, all my fans out here in LA. I'm excited to be on this card. It's great heavyweights. Great time to be a heavyweight, so you know, I'm ready to put my name in, put my hat in, you know, name in the hat to get out here and do something special. So, you know, I'm ready.
And his opponent, unbeaten, Olympic silver medalist, made his U.S. debut in September. 6 pro fights, 6 knockouts. He's the juggernaut, Joe Joyce.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning. Yeah, I'm just excited to be on such a massive card and just to, you know, give the, you know, the whole world who's watching a treat on such a big event. And yeah, stay tuned and watch me start off the show on Saturday night.
So the main event, heavyweights, will begin the night with heavyweights. And of course, the second fight, you'll see more heavyweights. And you want to talk about a tough competitor in the heavyweight division. This young man, 32-2, 23 knockouts. He is coming off a victory with Scott Alexander in May. I love that his nickname, he says, it's my time. Here's Travis Kaufman.
How's everyone doing? First of all, I want to thank God, my team, Team My Time, of course, Al Heyman, Luis Ortiz for accepting the fight because he could have fought anybody. Well, no, he couldn't have fought anybody because everybody's afraid to fight him. I'm not afraid to fight nobody. One thing we know about Luis Ortiz is he could fight, he could punch, and one thing about me is I don't give a fuck. I come to fight, and you know, like my name says, it's my time. I come from a very rough city, a very rough background, and there's nothing that's going to stop me from taking this man. He's trying to stop me from feeding my kids. It's my job to stop me from feeding his kids. So, you know, he's so worried about fighting Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder already fucked him up. He got to worry about me. He got to stop worrying about Deontay Wilder and everyone else. He got to worry about me. He got a real killer in front of him. You guys don't know who I am, but you will know Saturday night, and I promise that.
I tell you what, certainly don't want to miss that on Showtime pay-per-view. These cats gonna put some paws on one another. He'll be fighting one of the top 5 ranked heavyweights in the world. This will be his 3rd fight of 2018. This is a guy who fought Deontay Wilder. That was already a contender for Fight of the Year. He's known as King Kong. His name, Luis Ortiz. And Herman Casado will be his translator.
I have nervous cuando I talk. Le doy gracias a Dios una vez más por la oportunidad.
Hello. He wants to thank everybody for the opportunity, and he gets a little nervous up on the podium. Rather be in the ring.
Sé que mi respeto a mi contrincante que está aquí, a él, a su team. Y yo sé que él viene a hacer su trabajo, yo vengo a hacer el mío.
He wants to thank Travis, his team, and everyone for, number one, stepping up. A lot of heavyweights haven't. And he knows that he's coming to do his job. This is his championship fight, as he expects nothing different. But he's coming to do his job as well, and it's not going to go well for Travis Saturday night.
Pero esta pelea vengo diferente. Estoy contento de volver a venir a Los Ángeles.
He says this particular fight is a little more special. He's happy to be here again. There's a scenario with his daughter that has opened up, and he's very happy to be here this time around.
Y voy a hacer mi trabajo. El trabajo es rápido. Esto son pocos minutos los asaltos y voy a hacer lo que yo sé hacer, que es tirar piñazos.
He says that there is 10 rounds to get the job done and 3 minutes per round to get the job done. So whether it's in the first or in the 10th, his job will take place, and he will do his job, which is always try and knock out, seek, destroy. And so, he's coming to do his job, and he hopes that Travis is prepared and comes to do his as well, so we can make an exciting fight out of it.
Thank you, Showtime, a Jaime, a mi team, y bueno, Saturday night, Kiko.
Thank you very much to Showtime. Thank you to Al Heyman, his team, and obviously the fans of LA. And Saturday night, you'll see King Kong.
Let's get to our co-main. Coming to the podium now, this man will be making his U.S. debut. He is the former British middleweight champ, and he's won 5 straight fights. Here's Jason Wellborn.
I just want to say thanks for the opportunity from every side. Obviously from Showtime and the Swift team giving me the opportunity to fight for a world title. It's a dream come true for to be where this man is today. So obviously he's come from small bills and done what he's got to do, and he knows how hard it is to get where he's got to get. And obviously he's in my way, and I'm coming here for a good performance and a good win. And just being here as a winner today, and I hope you all enjoy what I got to bring to the table Saturday night. And thanks for all my friends, family, Team Wellborn, and the belief what they got in me, like that. I'm born and bred for this game, and I'm going to show Saturday night. So thank you. Thank you.
And his opponent, one of the most exciting fighters in the sport of boxing. You talk about punches, all action. This young man is the unified IBF WBA 154-pound champion, coming off that win over Erislandy Lara in April. It is the leading candidate right now and contender for the 2018 Fight of the Year. Unbeaten, 15 knockouts. He has stopped 8 of his last 9 opponents. He is Swift Jared Hurd.
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne. Sorry, I wouldn't feel right unless I came off stage without saying that. But now, on a serious note, first of all, I want to thank God. I want to thank Al Heyman for this opportunity. Everything we spoke about came to pass, man. Here I am fighting on the co-main event of a big, massive card with Wilder versus Fury. And, thank you to my team, my Martin Gibson, Ernesto, my trainer, and my parents for believing me, for getting me where I'm at today. And y'all, as y'all can see, man, out here in LA, the storm is out here. I brought the storm with me. On a serious note, though, man, I want to send my prayers out to the families and the victims, the survivor of the wildfire here. The reason I say that, man, because I wanted to be a firefighter myself at one point, when me putting that on hold to pursue this career in boxing, that just crossed my mind. So I just want to send my prayers out to them. And, Saturday night, man, I want to show my versatility. Everybody has seen one part of the name, which is the lightning bolt. I'm electrifying, man. Everybody has seen that I bring the action all times, man. But I want to show the rest of the name. I want to show that I am swift. I want to show that I do have defense. I do have the height. I do have the range. And I can be swift, man. So make sure you guys tune in. It's still going to be action-packed, baby. And y'all already know I'm bringing the storm today. Saturday night is going to be an even bigger one. And make sure you guys tune in. It's Mr. Get That Bag. Yeah.
Some of the best hair in boxing as well. I like it. All right, let's hear from the fighters. Let's start with the first fight of the night on television, on pay-per-view, Showtime pay-per-view. And Joe, 21 straight wins is what you started your career off with. You've sparred a number of rounds with some great heavyweights. You've been in the ring with Wilder, Klitschko, Povetkin. You've sparred with all these guys. The narrative has been that when you've stepped up in competition, you haven't gotten the victory. How do you change that narrative Saturday night?
Honestly, the work is done. I did all the work. I did all the things that I didn't do for those fights. I made sure I got them done this fight. Being the, quote unquote, the underdog doesn't really mean much to me. I'm from a place where, all of us are underdogs. So this means nothing to me. I've done the work. I put the time in, strength and conditioning, my coach, my team, my family, everybody's been supporting me, pushing me, making sure I do this thing. So that should help get me over the hump. And I'm just really excited.
Joe, only 6 fights, but what does it mean to you to be fighting on such a big stage Saturday night where basically people, not only here in the States, but across the world, will get a chance to see your skills?
I think it's a fantastic opportunity. I have to thank my management team, SHAM, Richard Schaefer, Al Heyman, Abel Sanchez, for getting me ready for this position, and I'm just gonna show everybody my skills, and also I'd like to thank Joe Hanks for stepping up, and I'm just excited to just lace them gloves on and get the party started.
You've knocked out everyone they put in front of you on Saturday night. Is this a fight that goes the distance, or does the streak continue?
I'm going to say the streak's going to continue. We'll just have to wait and see. But I guarantee that it'll be exciting.
We go to the next fight. More heavyweights. Travis, I love your confidence. Luis has been a guy who's been called the boogeyman of the heavyweight division. Not a lot of guys have wanted to fight him. A number have avoided him. Why do you want this challenge?
As soon as I got the call, it was challenge accepted. They call him the boogeyman, but boogeyman looks under his bed looking for me at night. I'm not scared of nobody. Nobody. My dad beat my ass worse than Luis Ortiz ever will. So, you know, the point is this, man. He is very, very skilled. But if you want to be the best in the world, you got to fight the best. And Luis Ortiz is definitely one of the best. You got guys like Dylan White or those guys over in England who say they want to fight Luis Ortiz, but they don't really want to fight him. They just talk all that shit. I stepped up to fight. And one thing about me, like I said, my name speaks for itself. My time, it's my time, and I really believe that. You know, they look at me and they see, you know, this fat white kid, but I bring some heat. I come to fight. You got to kill me to stop me. And that's just how I fight. It's either to kill or be killed, and that's how I fight. And that's just what it is.
Luis, Travis knows he defeats you. All of a sudden, he jumps up to the front of the line for one of those guys in a major title fight. What's your motivation Saturday night?
Luis, que Travis ganándote el sábado, él sube a los primeros del mundo para una oportunidad, para un título para él. ¿Qué te motiva a ti para pelear con él el sábado?
Es una oportunidad más para seguir. Todas las guerras tienen su ventaja y yo no la voy a desaprovechar. Todavía King Kong no ha perdido su sueño.
He says that, of course, that's what he expects, and that's what he expected for Travis to you know, instill in his training camp, and that the opportunity is just as good for him, just as great for him. There's no need to not be motivated for a fight, and he hasn't done so even when he debuted. His motivation is not necessarily always just the fight, his family. It's a lot that goes behind why he does what he does, and he hasn't deterred in any way. That's still his main goal. Travis is in the way of that main goal, and Saturday night he'll make sure of that.
Travis, you've also been quoted as saying Luis Ortiz is a cheater. Do you still believe that?
I think anybody who puts a needle in their ass to get by is a cheater. I don't blame Luis Ortiz though. It's not his fault because it's like this. If I'm in a relationship with my wife and I cheat and she keeps letting me back, I'm gonna keep cheating. It's not Luis Ortiz's fault. They keep letting him back. So he's gonna keep cheating. That's how I feel. It ain't his fault though. I'm not mad at him. The problem is the boxing world, the commission, they praise, you know, a guy like him and he's very skilled. To me, people who use steroids is because they're insecure about something.
Mis manos son las que hacen trampa.
He is one, man, shut up, I'm talking right now. He is one of the most skilled fighters in the world, and that's the truth. So why you have to use steroids? He can sit there and say he never used steroids. It's a fact that he used
Save your energy
steroids.
for the fight.
It's a fact. So that's my thing.
Save your energy for the fight.
Yeah.
You need it.
Your response to that, Luis?
Tu respuesta de que él dice que tú eres un tramposo, que la culpa es de boxeo, que te deja de nuevo pelear, que el boxeo es el que te debe estar castigando y no es culpa tuya si el boxeo te deja seguir peleando, pero que él piensa que tú eres un tramposo. ¿Qué tú dices de eso?
Las trampas están en mis manos. Hay que descifrarlas.
He says, you know, they can continue saying what they want to say, and he's been tested more times than Vada's even tested, period. So whatever, you know, if he's a cheater, figure it out Saturday night.
I'd be remiss if I didn't get a prediction. Got a huge fight in the main event. Wilder, Fury. Who do you think wins that fight?
I don't care about those two. All I care about is Luis Ortiz.
Wilder versus Fury, Saturday night. Luis, who do you think wins that fight?
Luis, ¿quién tú crees que gana esa pelea entre Wilder y entre Fury? Travis dice que le vale verga. ¿Quién pelea esa pelea que le está pensando en la de él?
A él le vale verga porque no tiene, pero es lindo ver que se destruyan y peleen y cumplan su sueño, que es de salir victorioso. Yo pienso que Wilder le gane.
He says that Travis obviously could care less because he won't get past Saturday night, so he's not even thinking about that. And that he believes that Wilder will win the fight in spectacular fashion and you know, and move on.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now let's get to the co-main event. Jason Wellborn, Jarrett Hurd. And Jason, on paper, you know, people have written that you are a tune-up for Jarrett, first fight back from shoulder surgery. What do you know that maybe the champ and the rest of the country is going to find out Saturday night?
Well, hello. First of all, at the end of the day, I've never been no one's student fight. A lot of people look past me, and I've proved them wrong. Stepped up to middleweight. I've only been doing this full time for the last 2 years, so people have been looking at my losses and stuff. But when you got a family and you're juggling work and boxing, you could do it. So it was either make or break, and I've took it serious now. Last 2 years, I've bet the best in Britain. I've had some won the WBC. Another prospect what looked past me, the talented kid Marcus Morrison, Eddie Earn's prospect. Shocked everyone, I shocked myself what I could do. And I'm here today, and to be honest with you, the doubters and everything just makes you train hard. It's nice to prove them wrong. So after Saturday night when them belts are mine, we'll see. And I'm coming for one thing, is a win. I've trained hard, full time, and I'm just enjoying it now. And at the end of the day, I'm a winner being here. I've got nothing to lose. So I've just got to go and get what I deserved, and I know what I deserve Saturday night.
Jarrett, with that win over Erislandy Lara, you've already shown that you're the best right now at 154 pounds and in the division. What is this fight Saturday night about for you?
Well, first of all, we don't want to look at Jason Wellborn as a tune-up fight, man. We want to just say that Jason Wellborn was chosen because we needed a style that was suitable for me to display what I'm working on. And, you know, Jason Wellborn's a champion for a reason. He's a British champion. We just want to go out there Saturday night and establish what the game plan was we had during camp.
And what's this fight about for you Saturday night?
It's about, man, getting back after my surgery and, you know, getting back to the old Swift. It was a time in my career where I was a counterpuncher and using my height and range, and I had to develop a style to beat Erislandy Lara. And I also been facing a lot of southpaws, man, so you definitely want to take a few right-handed fights before we start to get things rocking.
Jason, I think even hardcore boxing fans, especially here in the States, probably aren't aware of you and what you bring to the table. What are you hoping they come away with once they finally get to see you fight Saturday night?
First of all, obviously there's 2 belts on the line. That's the reward at the end of the fight. But can move the belts, move what he's done, and I've been through the storm. I've just got to shine now, and the hard work pays off. I've got to go and get the cherry, and the cherry he's got what I want. And but at the end of the day, I'm just got to enjoy the fight, and hopefully you like my style. And basically, I'm buzzing just to be here. So at the end of the day, Saturday night, I've just got to do what I deserve and get what I want.
So if you know the question's going to come, you know you got a tough competitor Saturday night, but I know a number of boxing fans want to know, in 2019, will we see Swift Jarrett Hurd against Jermell Charlo?
No disrespect to you, Jason Wellborn, but Jermell Charlo, I got the date, baby. See you 2019.
And it leads to this. Do you think he's overlooking you?
Well, through the sound of his voice, I think he should take a record label out, man. But at the end of the day, he can look past all he wants, but when he feels the power, what I'm going to bring to the table, and let him see if he can get through that. So whatever he does, I wish him all the best in his career, but just think of Saturday night first, and by all means, he can look who he wants and his team then. But at the end of the day, I'm ready. So whatever your man's got to bring to the table, let's go.
Champ, we'll wrap it up with this. What should we expect Saturday night? You've stopped 8 of your last 9 opponents. You're always exciting. What should we expect Saturday night when you get in the ring with Jason Wellborn?
Like I said, man, everyone knows that I'm always excited. It's always going to be action-packed, no matter what style I bring. Just tune into a wonderful fight. It's going to be a wonderful card. I'm bringing the storm like always. And just make sure, man, don't blink.
So there you have it. Showtime pay-per-view Saturday night. It all begins at 9 o'clock Eastern. That is 6 o'clock Pacific time. It is a 4-fight event. You do not want to miss it. We're going to have some face-offs here, and we'll go by fight by fight. So, co-main first. Jason, champ.
Travis will do you guys next.
Have you guys
And then Joe,
right
you
there
next.
out in front and center.
Luis next. And then Joe, you guys last. And then we'll do the whole group.
Tom, what about Tom? Who's the podium?
Oh, Steve.
That's it. Yeah, good. Huh? Oh, yeah. Struggling. Okay. Cool.
Houston. Yeah, that's what I do most of my training.
Travis, Luis, have you joined? Now let's have both the Joes.
Brian, thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right, so for print press in the back corner over here.
So that'll do it for our Undercard press conference. As you heard from all 6 combatants that are a part of the Undercard, that you will see this Saturday live on Showtime pay-per-view. Do not forget, Deontay Wilder puts his WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World on the line against the lineal champion and Tyson Fury, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific time from the Staples Center here in Los Angeles. Once again, Ray Flores, Brian Campbell. Brian, let's start off with the co-main event with Jarrett Hurd and Jason Wellborn. What did you take away from both sides?
I took away that Jason Wellborn is not here to be just a name, not here to be a stay-busy victim. He's here to win, coming off of that 5-fight win streak. And you heard Swift talk about what we talked about earlier, that Jermell Charlo fight is on the horizon. The unification, if Charlo, of course, can get by Tony Harrison in December, if Swift Hurd can get a victory here on Saturday night, we all want that fight. But there's business first with Jason Wellborn. It's going to be a very interesting matchup.
Well, Brian Custer from Showtime Championship Boxing posed the question to Wellborn, do you think that Hurd is overlooking him? And he pretty much seemed to say, look, I don't care if he's overlooking me or not. He's going to find out that he is in with a very credible foe on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to be up to Wellborn to push that pace and test exactly where Jarrett Hurd is at right now, coming off of that shoulder surgery. Made a big statement this year, but he's got to close out that year with a second victory.
Well, Al Bernstein, who will also be a part of the broadcast team, brought up a great point on social media. He stated that Wellborn is a come-forward, aggressive fighter. I like that style when it comes to fighting Jarrett Hurd, because Hurd, brings the pressure. If Wellborn brings the pressure, we could be in store for some fun action on Saturday night.
And that's really the best part about Jarrett Hurd. He finds out who you are very quickly in the fight because he never stops coming forward. That type of pressure, that can cause anxiety, if anything else. That can wear you down because he's never going to take a backward step. It's going to be up to you to dig in and equal his level of toughness.
And also, how is Hurd going to respond from the shoulder injury? That inhibits, there's so much that is involved in the shoulder when it comes to throwing punches and using angles and getting off. Is he going to be reluctant throwing the punches with the fluidity and the volume that he's used to because of that shoulder injury?
And it's going to be up to Jason Wellborn to find those answers out. Is it going to be smart for him to try to make this a fight, to try to surprise Swift Hurd and jumpstart him early, catch him maybe off guard, test his confidence, test exactly where the champion is at coming in here? Very interesting opportunity for Wellborn to make a name for himself across the pond in the States on a platform this large.
And both Jarrett Hurd and Jermell Charlo have business to attend to. Obviously, Jarrett Hurd is fighting Jason Wellborn. You have Jermell Charlo taking on Tony Harrison later on in December. Assuming both get past these tests, then my goodness, talk about a mouth-watering fight between Jarrett Hurd and Jermell Charlo potentially in the first half of 2019.
Quite simply, you want to make a list of top 5 best fights you can make in the entire sport. You put Jarrett Hurd and you put Jermell Charlo very high up on that list. Both champions at 154 pounds, both operating in the midst of their physical primes, but really both just about now figuring out how not good they can be, how great they can be. They can both punch. They're both aggressive. That is one heck of a matchup to find out who's the man at 154 in a division. It's kind of creating a new face. We used to know it as the Canelo division. That era is over. You're finding out who's going to be the man finally once and for all.
And also putting a bow on our co-main event. With Jarrett Hurd, he's the first one to go out of the two. He wants to go out and make a definitive statement as to say, I wiped out this guy in Jason Wellborn. Now, Jermell, it's on you now. Let's go ahead and see what you bring to the table in your fight, and we'll see who looks more impressive as we head towards that potential blockbuster matchup in 2019.
It's a little bit of gamesmanship. It's the fight before the fight. It's the mental game. It's can you top this? Watch me Saturday night Showtime pay-per-view. Little advertisement, Jermell Charlo, for what you may have coming.
I am excited for that potential matchup, but first, Jarrett Hurd needs to get past Jason Wellborn, a formidable foe from over in Great Britain. Taking a look at also the heavyweight division, Luis Ortiz and Travis Coffin. Travis Coffin, very animated, stating going ahead and proclaiming and chastising Luis Ortiz for his failed drug test, that it is boxing's fault for why Luis Ortiz is still participating. He threw a lot of barbs towards Luis Ortiz. Ortiz seemed to be dismissive, but Travis Coffin is certainly in his A game when it comes to mental warfare.
Bartender, I'll have whatever Travis Kaufman is having, and I think it's a big cup of confidence because this guy he may have been the MVP of this press conference. We know Kaufman is very credible heavyweight. Just one loss in the last 9 years, and that was a close majority decision loss to Mir Mansour. This fight gives him that opportunity to make a bigger name for himself. But I think he attempted that on the stage, poking the bear, right? Poking the King Kong a little bit. Hey, do that at your own risk, Travis Kaufman, because on Saturday night, you're going to stand across from that big puncher from Cuba. But I think one thing that he did accomplish in Travis Kaufman was making this go from an interesting fight to now a must-see. I got to see what's going to happen. These two do not like each other.
What Travis Kaufman is, for those of you that don't know, obviously we know the history when it comes to Luis Ortiz, but Travis Kaufman comes from a rough and tumble city in Reading, Pennsylvania. So he did not come from the best upbringing. He had to fight his way, and he's still trying to fight his way to gain respect. Now the biggest platform that he is on, is he going to be overmatched against Luis Ortiz? But Travis Kaufman is making the most of this opportunity.
Yeah, and look, he's a tough out, Travis Kaufman. He's a very cerebral heavyweight, certainly tough, comes from a tough background, has been in there against top competition before. This is going to be his chance to maybe catch Ortiz on an off day. Maybe have Ortiz, like we talked about with Jared Hurd, looking ahead on the horizon, thinking about the winner of Wilder Fury. Maybe getting a rematch with Deontay if he wins. Maybe crashing the party if Tyson Fury wins. You got to get through Travis Kaufman first. And I think it was a very strategic point there for Travis to remind us all of that and say, hey, guys, check me out. I got the same opportunity on Saturday night to enter this title conversation.
Did Luis Ortiz seem too relaxed to you? Or, I mean, he was animated in the fight against Deontay Wilder. He seemed to have, he was, talkative and jovial in the matchup against Cajanu. But with this seems to be the most relaxed and subdued Luis Ortiz that I've seen in the past 4 or 5 fights. What is your observation from that? Is he too relaxed, or is he just in his mental zone to where he feels like, I have business to handle, I'm going to do it, and then move on?
Yeah, speak softly, carry a big stick. We know he's going to bring the power on Saturday night. I don't take anything too much from that. Here's a guy who's very confident, knows who Travis Kaufman is, but doesn't look at him as anything more than the next stop on my journey to get back into that title discussion. Ortiz has craft. He's got power. He's got experience. He's got a lot of things other heavyweights wish they would have in one package. I think he's going to be fine in terms of his demeanor entering in another big fight.
And Luis Ortiz, he said in an interview a couple of weeks ago that he could fight upwards up to maybe even 50. He goes, if I feel like it, I could fight for another 7-8 years, maybe even getting up to 50. Who knows if that's possible, but still, the fire is certainly burning very deep down in the soul of Luis Ortiz.
39 years old, but this is the heavyweight division where a lot of guys age and mature late. And when you have the type of skills that Luis Ortiz has and brings to this division, you're always going to be dangerous. You're always going to be a tough out. And like we talked about earlier, just one loss in a fight against Wilder that I had him winning at the time of the stoppage, in a fight in which he put Wilder literally on the ropes, hurt him, almost upset the best laid plans of this entire division, almost crashed that party. I've got a good feeling Ortiz will be back when it comes to this title picture and get another opportunity against somebody to crack that code and get into put that gold around his waist.
Well, first he must get past Travis Kaufman. It is Showtime pay-per-view this Saturday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific time from Staples Center here in Los Angeles. Deontay Wilder puts his heavyweight championship of the world on the line against Tyson Fury. Let's talk about what is going to open up the broadcast as you have the silver medalist from the UK, Joe Joyce, taking on Joe Hanks. Joyce is undefeated, 6-0, all of those by knockout, coming off a victory back on September 30th over Yago Kalites. He's taken on Joe Hanks, who, when he stepped up in competition, hasn't fared too well, but Hanks believes that this is the biggest opportunity of his life, and he's going to be able to stun Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce is this unknown quantity here in the United States, barely bursting onto the scene with the victory over Yago Kalites. For Joyce, he wants to have a shorter time period to get up to the upper ranks of the heavyweight division, and with him, it starts on Saturday night against Joe Hanks.
Pardon the pun here. He's no ordinary Joe. Has a very good amateur background, like you mentioned, 6'6", a big dude in there, certainly can punch. This is the new trend in boxing. A lot of these guys with those strong amateur backgrounds don't need the 20, 25, 30 fights to crash the party and get into the title picture. 6-0 with 6 KOs. Not maybe ready tomorrow to fight for a world title, still developing, but the confidence is there. And one thing was key for Joe Joyce in this training camp at Big Bear, got a lot of rounds in with Tyson Fury, the main eventer on Saturday night. At 6'6", Maybe he was able to mimic Wilder's size, at least for Tyson Fury. You have to believe those rounds were very valuable in his development.
Especially with what the condition that we've seen Tyson Fury in. He looks in the best condition that we've seen in many, many years. So you know that they probably got some very quality sparring when it comes to Joe Joyce and Tyson Fury. Now, that is the pay-per-view from top to bottom, the undercard. You have 3 compelling matchups on the undercard. Then you have Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. But check out what we have on Showtime Championship Boxing. A little holiday treat for you for free on the social media pages. The light heavyweight championship of the world is on the line. Adonis Stevenson taking on Alexander Wojcik. That is in Canada, as Stevenson putting his WBC light heavyweight crown on the line. Brian, you could check it out, 7:45 Eastern, 4:45 Pacific time, right before the pay-per-view on social media for free. I'm excited about this matchup. I think this is going to be a barn burner.
Talk about a stocking stuffer. What a charitable season right now to put a fight out like this that really has a chance to contend for fight of the night. And yes, I'm including the main event in that because this has been a division light heavyweight that Adonis Stevenson, for the large part, going back to the one-punch knockout of Chad Dawson in 2013, he's ruled with an iron fist, and that iron fist has been his big left hand. Never got to see him, though, against Sergey Kovalev or Eleider Alvarez. But what we have seen in recent years, when he does step up to that ultra-elite level against a guy like Badu Jack in his last fight, 41 years old, is it catching up with him? Is it his time to go? Is this the trap fight at the end of the line that ends what has been such a dominant reign? This is a must-see fight because Wojcik has the amateur background, has the pedigree, has the toughness. He's got a wild card in his corner named Teddy Atlas, too. What's this going to look like? You got to see it to believe it.
Plenty of emotion on Saturday, as you can check out Stevenson and Wojcik. But let's take a look at what the odds makers are thinking. Stevenson, who's defending the championship in his home country, is an underdog. That is startling to me. I know the background of Wojcik, the bronze medalist, having come up with Usyk and Lomachenko, that tremendous Ukrainian national team. But Stevenson, an underdog? Brian, that to me is surprising.
And I think it ultimately speaks to what you said, how good Alexander Wojcik is. There's a Ukrainian takeover happening in boxing. The pound-for-pound king Lomachenko, Alexander Usyk, the undisputed cruiserweight champion, who's, by the way, ready to knock on that door of guys like Wilder and Fury at heavyweight. Wojcik is next in line. We mentioned Teddy Atlas, the legendary trainer in his corner. First fight, an experiment. Let's see if this works. But what Wojcik has done in a short period, Ray, 15 pro fights, is largely handled everybody put in. Undefeated, but he's knocking guys out, has that amateur background there. Yes, Stevenson has been on a great run, but slowing down just a bit. He's always going to have that big left hand to get him out of a fight if he needs to, but does he still have 12-round elite championship-level stamina? You got to believe a guy like Wojcik is hoping he can test that.
Well, let's take a look at styles make fights. Stevenson is an aggressive fighter, likes to come forward, has that laser straight left hand that has been his calling card for many, many years. Trained by Jamon Sugarhill out of the Chronic Boxing Gym in Detroit. Taking on Wojcik, who is a counterpuncher. So you put those two styles together, and I think that equals fireworks in December, even though we are nowhere near the 4th of July.
I think if you're looking for a blueprint, if you're Wojcik, what should you do? Go back and do what Badu Jack did. Maybe Badu started a bit too late, but what he did was go to the body against the champion, be aggressive, back him up, let him know he's in for a long night, an aggressive night, let him know that Stevenson's not going to be allowed to just pot shot from the outside with that left hand. Get him into a battle. Test whether the 41-year-old still wants to be in those type of fights. Wow. You know Stevenson, like I mentioned, is always going to be in it with the big left hand, but this is Wojcik's opportunity on a very large platform to announce himself as not just the next great Ukrainian amateur turning pro and doing big things, but one of the next best fighters in the sport.
When Stevenson trying to prove that Father Time is just a number, as he is 41 years of age, he's 10 years older than Wojcik. We will see all of that play out live, 7:45 Eastern, 4:45 Pacific time on Showtime's social media pages for free before the pay-per-view. Then coming up at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific time on Saturday, Showtime pay-per-view, Deontay Wilder puts his title on the line against Tyson Fury, a loaded undercard. Jared Hurd on the undercard as you go ahead and take a look at the likes of Luis Ortiz, Travis Coffin, Joe Joyce, Joe Hanks. Hurd against Jason Wellborn. It is going to be a stellar night of action. Brian, we are only 2 days away, my friend, and I know LA is gearing up for what is going to be a special night at Staples Center.
You can still feel the electricity on the streets, in the air. Heavyweight boxing is back. That's not overstating it. That feeling, big fights that matter, big performers, big personalities. You're going to find out what happens. Who's the last man standing? Who has the chance to say they're the best heavyweight in the world, the baddest man on the planet? Wow.
We're 2 days away from finding out tomorrow the weigh-in. Check out the guys, step on the scale, and look at each other one more time. Face off. Brian, with what we saw out of that stare down yesterday, who knows what is going to transpire during the weigh-in, especially during their face-off. Check it out here on the social media pages of Showtime Championship Boxing. Also, all access daily, an in-depth look every single day of what Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, how they're preparing themselves for their colossal heavyweight championship matchup this Saturday from Staples Center. As we talked about, Stevenson and Bodzik kicks off everything. 7:45, 4:45 Pacific time. You do not want to miss it. Then the pay-per-view, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time from Staples Center here in Los Angeles. On behalf of Brian Campbell, I'm Ray Flores, saying we'll see you tomorrow for the weigh-in. And then Saturday, we get the party started at 7:45 Eastern, 4:45 Pacific time here on social media pages with Stevenson and Bodzik. Then the pay-per-view, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time. We'll see you tomorrow for the weigh-in. It is Wilder Fury. Fight week is in full steam here from the City of Angels.
Tongue bite my time. Wait till the world is mine. You should see me in the crowd. I'm gonna run this nothing child. Watch me make them bow one by one by one by one by. You should see me in the crowd. Your silence is my favorite sound.
Wilder versus Fury, Saturday, December 1st, live on pay-per-view.
I ain't gonna lie, if you guys can see me in the back room, man, I'd be so nervous. It was time when my younger brother had to grab me on my shoulder and say, Jared, calm down. It's just I'm so nervous because I want to go out there and perform with. I can't see outside in the crowd. I'm wondering what the crowd look like, what it's gonna be like in the bigger lights. Go back in the room when I was facing Arislandi Lara, it felt like it was so much at stake. I either win his 2 titles or I lose mine, and you know, just the thought of that had my mind racing.
And now here is...
Like I said once before, man, I go through them doors, something hits me and say, man, you can't think that way, the more it's time to go.
Well, being led to the ring by my man Wale, a great rapper who
Wale was the perfect guy to walk out with for Austin Trout, because you know everyone knew trout is a fish. You know, the only way they catch a trout is with a hook. And Wale had a song called Bait, and that was one of his biggest songs, him coming out. I was like, man, that's perfect, Bait. I said, why not have Wale to walk me out? This would be perfect. You know, Light Show is one of my favorite artists from the area. He's not as big as the other guys. He's on the rise, but I remember seeing Light Show in certain places, and he was on the same come up as me. He wasn't as big, and once I got in a position to put him on the platform where it can give him more exposure, he had the perfect song, Shoot for the Stars. Some of my favorite ring entrances were when Floyd bought Lil Wayne out. That was a great walk. You know, man, like Adrian Boner and them guys, they walk out sometimes on their own, rapping their own songs. But it's something that gives the people something to watch, and it's all for entertainment. What makes the ring entrance for me so important, and I wanted to relate to my situation. Like, it's almost like I'm getting prepared for battle. And once I get out there and I walk through them doors and I'm able to see the crowd and I hear my name getting chanted, Swift, 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 that's when, you know, the butterflies kind of go away. And I'm like, man, there's no more time to be nervous. It's go time.
It's showtime!
When I'm inside the ring, everyone knows I have a big Swift tattoo across my chest, and I pound that to let everyone know who's in the ring. Swift. The reason why I put up my right arm to flex is to show off my boxing gym, which is Hillcrest Heights Boxing Gym. And then I shoot up the right hand to go towards Tom to say that, man, this is for you, and that here we are. It's time to fight once again. After I take my shirt off, I'm facing off with my opponent. I always look at them and see their body language. You know, if they're not looking at me, or if they're kind of shaking when they're looking at me, eyes twitching. I just want to see if they're nervous at all, or if they're feeling confident. I love boxing because it pays me money. It's like I'm just a fighter, man. This overall boxing, strategizing, having to figure out what you have to do to get your victory. The preparation for the fight, dieting, it's keeping me healthy, keeping me out of trouble. And for me, boxing is something that gives you the mindset that I have to give this my all in whatever you do. When my career is over and I'm no longer boxing, I just want to be remembered as a kid that he did everything his way. He didn't want to be like anyone else. And I want to be remembered as the guy that no matter how big I got, I was never too good to remember where I started.
It is fight week here in the City of Angels as Deontay Wilder puts his WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World on the line against Tyson Fury.
Two undefeated giants of the sport risking their undefeated record for the WBC and lineal heavyweight championship of the world.
You know Tyson's story, beating the odds. Shouldn't be back here on this stage looking as good as he does, fighting as well as he will. Deontay Wilder, who would have thought when he picked up a pair of gloves at age 18 that a short time later he would be the reigning WBC heavyweight champion of the world? Not bad for a kid from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
America got a mighty man in me. America got the baddest man on the planet. And I'll be damned I let a man from another country come and upset what I've been building for this time. When I put my life on the line, it's serious for me. On the night of that fight, I can do whatever I want to. I promise you this, he will go down.
Styles are going to make this fight a great fight. We're going to see something special on Saturday.
I've been looking forward to this fight since 2011. And on Saturday night, I'm going to punch his face right in for him.
I've been ready 2 weeks ago. I come in camp in shape day one because I'm a different breed, I'm a different caliber. The two best heavyweights in the world. This is the time. It's my time. When he beat Klitschko, that was his window.
I sit here today as a lineal heavyweight champion. That already means I'm the best heavyweight on the planet. I don't need to beat Wilder to be considered the best. Many men have tried to take things from me in the past, but I ain't never come across anybody, amateur, professional, sparring, anything. There ain't never been a man that could better me.
You guys are gonna be able to determine who is really the best in the heavyweight division. One champion, one face, one name. And that's what I'm seeking. I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. I promise you. I promise you.
We're gonna go take what's ours.
We're doing it the Gallagher way.
Things are better now. I got a second chance.
Please don't use a bad word when you can use a good word.
You focus on something in your mind, it will come true.
Don't worry, I got your back. Let's do this thing.